Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the Football Overseas YouTube channel and welcome to Game Week 2 of the English Football League Championship, where we're going to have a look at the fixtures for this coming weekend and preview and look at some predictions and all of that. A quick reflection on Game Week 1, just because, of course, Bristol City, my team, are top of the table, courtesy of taking a revenge victory over Sheffield United up at Bramall Lane on Saturday evening. So a 4-1 win it was. Possibly the first half was certainly Sheffield United's, and Bristol City somehow had, they had a good 2-1 lead, having got two really good goals and defended for their lives when Sheffield United put the pressure on. Second half was all a bit different. Two early goals, one a bit of a deflection, not more than a bit of a deflection, but still, they all count. And Sheffield United, the stuffing was knocked out of them for the second half, but Bristol City game managed it perfectly and really limited in the second half Sheffield United's chances. So they sit top of the league. I don't know how long for. And Sheffield United, of course, will be hurt by that and will be quite sore at that defeat, having lost the playoff final, wanting to hit the ground running, I'm sure. As does everybody who doesn't want to hit the ground running. So, talking of that, we had 9 positive results last week, which means 9 teams lost, and therefore they are still searching for their first point. I say still searching. They'll be searching for hoping for their first point. Because I always think at the start of the season, streaks, wins or losses, losses, are highlighted even more. Everyone's fresh and keen for the season, the supporters especially so, the high hopes for their team. And when you lose 2 or 3 at the start of a season, it really does magnify it more than if you lose 2 or 3 halfway through the campaign in January. So it all seems to be excused a little bit easier. But at the start, when everybody's picking up points and enjoying life, and you're the teams, or you're one of the teams that has this slow start, perhaps a run of defeats to really put the pressure on, that's when it starts. So those 9 teams will be wanting to get a point at least on the board this coming weekend. We only had 3 draws, you see, which is why we had 9 winners, 9 losers and 3 matches drawn. So what have we got this coming weekend? We start off with, there's no Friday night game this week. The Premier League has ousted that, but the return of the Premier League, that is. So Saturday lunchtime we have 3 games. Saturday afternoon we have 7, and Sunday we have 2. So let's get stuck in. First up then on Saturday is Derby County versus Coventry. Derby had a disappointing 3-1 loss to Stoke. Coventry sort of a really tough 0-0 home draw against Hull. So I think with Derby looking to get off the mark at home, this will be a tough game for Coventry, and I think it's going to end up all square. So I'm going first up then. Derby County 1, Coventry City 1. Then we have Portsmouth, who, if you remember last season, Portsmouth were the last team to gain a win in the league. And this year they got off the mark. As I think I predicted last week, away to Oxford was a nice game for them, although I think it was a bit of a workmanlike performance. They did pull off the 1-0 win. And Millwall, who their opponents are on Saturday lunchtime, pulled off a fantastic 2-1 win away at Norwich. That did surprise me a little bit. But fair play to Millwall. Again, they've started the season better, obviously, than they did last year with all those goals they shipped. So, Portsmouth against Millwall, down in front of the Fratton faithful. They'll be keen to back up the last week's win with another one to really get them off to a flyer. They did slip up midweek in the League Cup against Reading. 14,000 for that as well. Well done to Portsmouth fans for turning out for that. They'll be out in their force, no doubt, on Saturday. But I think Norwich may well, and they'll be hurting from that 5-3 loss possibly at the end of the season. I know it's end of season-ish stuff. So I'm going to go another few goals around, I think. I'm going to go Portsmouth, though, to go just to slip up here. Portsmouth 2, Norwich 3. Then we have the third game on Saturday lunchtime, where it's Wrexham. So their first game in front of their fans in the Championship are taking on West Bromwich Albion, one of the sort of stalwarts of the division, aren't they? As I say, always tough to beat, and they will ground out one of their traditional 1-0 wins last week at home to Blackburn. So they go to Wrexham and all of the regalia that will go on Saturday for them. But I think they will stand all that and grab a point. So I'm going to take a Wrexham 1, West Bromwich Albion 1. Then on to the 3 o'clocks, we have Blackburn, who, as I say, went down to West Brom, but only by the odd goal. And they're taking on Birmingham City, who managed to squeeze a point in their home game against Ipswich last Friday, I think it was, at 1 each draw. And it all sort of ended a bit nastily, didn't it? If anyone saw the highlights of that, or anyone with a big punch-up or a big melee at the end, or once the equaliser went in and a fan got involved and all sorts of things going on when we didn't really want to see on the first day. But that said, I think a fair result for both teams, or an acceptable result for both teams on the night. So here we have then Blackburn against Birmingham. Can Birmingham back up, picking up their first point? I think Blackburn will sneak this one. Their home form was pretty good last season. So I'm going to go Blackburn 2, Birmingham 1. Then we have the aforementioned Bristol City hoping to back up their fine win at Sheffield United with a home win against newcomers Charlton. Now Charlton got off the mark straight away with a win, a late goal against Watford, but it doesn't matter when they go in as long as they do, and that was enough to edge past Watford at home. I think I said as well last week that was a pretty nice game to pick if you were able to pick them. So they got off the mark with 3 points, but they go to Ashton Gate. Bristol City won the midweek as well in the cup, so there's 2 wins out of 2 so far for them competitively, and I think they'll chalk this one up as well. I'm going to take Bristol City to edge past Charlton by 3 goals to 1. So Bristol City 3, Charlton 1. Then we have Millwall versus Middlesbrough. That sounds a real dour contest, doesn't it? No quarter given in this one. But as I say, Millwall chalking up an excellent win against Norwich. Middlesbrough getting a 1-0 win, opening day win against Swansea. So they'll go there with high hopes. And I think Middlesbrough, if they can just shore up that defence this year, they will. And as I said, I've put them in the top 2, just as a little surprise. Surprise prediction, really, with a bit of support behind it. I think they're pretty good. They've done their sort of apprenticeship very well so far, and I think it could be their season to move. So Millwall against Middlesbrough. I think Middlesbrough will go there and really be backs to the wall stuff possibly, and take the game, just sneak it by with the odd goal. So I'm going for another 1-0 win for Middlesbrough. Millwall 0, Middlesbrough 1. Preston North End against Leicester is next. Now Leicester again went behind to Sheffield Wednesday and all of the sort of issues that were going around that game. Sheffield Wednesday, of course, in this dire trouble. But they gave a really good performance up at Leicester and were unlucky really to lose in the end by 2 goals to 1. But they did. And Preston had a 1 each draw down at Queen's Park Rangers, which they'd be pretty pleased with, I would think. First up, get an away point on the board. I think this will be a bit tough for them though. And I'm going for Leicester to back up their first win. And as I've made them champions in my prediction, I've got to stick with them a little bit. And I think, again, they will go to Preston and do their stuff. So I'm going to go Preston North End 1, Leicester City 2. Sheffield Wednesday against Stoke. Now, Sheffield Wednesday in front of their fans for the first time in a proper league game. And a proper game in the league. And, as I say, put up a good fight against Leicester last week. A good effort. And Stoke beat Derby 3 goals to 1, having gone behind if I remember rightly. So they came back well. This will be a game that Sheffield United will not want to lose. They won't want any doom and gloom going to add to the doom and gloom by losing their first home game. And Stoke are resolute, aren't they, in defence? We know that. That's their sort of stock in trade. So I think it'll be goalless. I'm going to take a lesser spotted goalless draw this season so far. Sheffield United 0, Stoke City 0. Then we have Swansea City, who went down to Middlesbrough, as I say, against Sheffield United, who we know had that really striking home defeat, really, against Bristol City. So they lost again in midweek in the Cup, so they'll be wanting to stop that early rot setting in, and I think they will. But a bit of a caveat that Swansea, you just never know. I still don't know this season what sort of Swansea is going to turn up. So I'm going to take Swansea 0, Sheffield United 1. Sheffield United just to sort of dig in and get a win and get their season started. 3 to go then, one more on the Saturday. It's Watford against Queen's Park Rangers, so another sort of London game, all-London game. Watford, as I say, were unluckily in the end beaten by Charlton, but it was a tough one to go to a new, somebody coming into the season with momentum and all of that behind them. And Preston and QPR, of course, would be slightly disappointed, I guess, with drawing their first home game. But nonetheless, they're off the mark. But I think here Watford will want to get, they're one of the 9 teams looking for their first point, so I think they will want to get that sooner rather than later, and I think they'll get all 3 here. I'm going to take Watford 2, Queen's Park Rangers 1. Excuse me. So 2 left then. The games on Sunday are firstly Ipswich against Southampton. That's a pretty mouth-watering game. It's always been a great game to watch in the past when these two get together. They really sort of just let their football do the talking, really. And I think they'll be goals again. So Ipswich, having got that, sort of dented that with that late equaliser by Birmingham on Friday night. Southampton still, I'm sure, quite buoyant about coming back and taking the points against Wrexham late on well into a stoppage time when they got their winner. And so I think there'll be goals around. Both sides will want to go for it, really get their campaign up and running. So I'm going to go Ipswich 2, Southampton 2. And last but never least, of course, is Hull City against Oxford. Now, 2 teams that I think I had down in the bottom 3 or thereabouts. Certainly I've had Oxford down there, unfortunately, as I said last week, so you've got to put somebody down there. And Oxford, as I say, slipped up home to Portsmouth, which is a sort of a marker to me that they do need to really shape up a little bit better than that. And Hull ground out a good 0-0 draw at Coventry, I think. Coventry would have been on the buzz of the playoffs last year because they sort of unexpectedly got there, I think, to a certain degree. So Hull will be pleased with grabbing a point down there, and I think they will put away Oxford on Sunday afternoon. I'm going to go Hull City 2, Oxford United 0. So there we are. How many teams will still be searching for their first point after the weekend? We will see. As I say, 9 are at the moment. So let's hope this ratio of wins keeps going. It's nice to have positive results. We don't want draws. I've predicted a couple of you have to do, or you have to do, but as I see fit to do. But there we go. That's it for game week 2. I hope you have a great footballing weekend upcoming. The Premier League is back as well, so everything's happening this weekend. Let's just sit back and let the footballers entertain us as they always do. I will be back next week with game week 3. There's no midweek games again next week, I don't believe. So we're back back end of next week to predict game week 3. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel. Please spread the word, not just about the prediction clips that I do and others do. It's all about the overall content of the channel, which is mighty worth a look and a subscribe. It costs nothing to subscribe. Click that button and keep it bookmarked and entertain yourselves. Pop in and have a look every now and again. Comment on me. Comment on what I've said on my clips. Please feel free to do that. Just have a bit of fun with us, especially when we get into the winter. You'll want something to entertain you. So let's get subscribed now and get it all set up. Thank you for watching once again. Stay healthy and take care. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.